This week's Voice Party is brought to you by IOPvideo.com. We're all stuck inside and content is king right now. So if you want to create some content, have some video shot, advertise your small business, start a podcast, whatever, check out IOPvideo.com. We do it all and we will do it all for you. IOPvideo.com. We make things look pretty.
All right, welcome to the Voice Party, Chris Riggins. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm just chilling out here in Tahoe with the family at this huge cabin.
Nice. In the woods. That's what's up.
It's dope. I mean, we're just out here doing what families do and shit.
Man, how you been holding up with everything going on, bro? It's a long time. First of all, it's a long time since I've seen you. It's a long time since I talked to you, man. So thank you for doing this. You hosted, the first comedy show that I kind of put together on my own with Johan back in the Burnt Ramen. I don't know if you remember that.
I'm the rich. How can you don't forget something like Burnt Ramen? It looks like
for better or worse.
Don't forget that.
Oh man,
don't forget that.
You honestly, I'm gonna tell you, man, you're one of those. Since that was 2012, 2011, and a lot of my peers that I've seen, you're one of those cats I've never seen bomb on stage, dude. No, I know, but nice I've seen you a lot, and I've never seen you bomb on stage, bro. Like that's a huge thing for me to be able to say. Like you and Butch are some of those, and there's a couple other I can mention, but I just I want to say that I admire you as a comic, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. It feels good to be admired by somebody admiring me.
Well,
I can tell.
Put him on the phone. Let me tell him. No, I'm just saying. Hey, I gotta ask you, man. How are you been coping with the COVID situation?
Sorry. I'm just going to charge my phone
and
find a long enough cord where I can stand outside and smoke weed too.
Yeah.
I'm doing all right with the COVID.
Yeah.
I just kind of been cautious.
Yeah.
Paying attention to what I do, how I do it, where I do it. Trying the best I can, but not allowing it to, alter, my whole way of existing.
You said you've been trying to stay where you don't alter your whole way of existing?
Yeah. Just trying to, maintain a civil sense of mind so that way I don't allow the panic of the pandemic to overtake my rational thought.
Which is very easy to do lately. With a heavy over easy to do. Because you've made some changes, man, since you're looking healthier. You lost some weight. Like what's been going on with Mr. Chris Riggins, man?
Well, I've been clean from cocaine and alcohol for over a year.
Congratulations.
Now. Started working out, eating better, just doing things just little things, not even making big drastic changes, just doing the in my opinion, the least I could do to affect my physical health and everything. And I've lost a lot of weight. Now in the process of trying to find clothes that fit the other way, which is crazy. So,
that's
living the dream.
Hell yeah. That's not an easy thing to do, man. I know I've seen it firsthand with homies. Like cocaine is not you kind of got a cold turkey it or whatever, but it's a motherfucker to beat. And I know in the comedy world, that's the things you hear about it a lot, because whatever it is what it is, just like musicians. Speaking of musicians, dude, you started. So one of my homeboys told me I used to work with this guy. And he had a group called Alphabet Soup, and he told me, "Oh, you do comedy?" One of my old homies did comedy. He started off with us. You used to play in Alphabet Soup, huh?
Yeah, I was one of the one of the third rappers to join the group. After CB actually took a break from the group. No, I'm sorry, not CB. My brother
Michael Blake.
Yeah, Mike Blake took a break from the group, and so I stepped in to try to fill his shoes as best as I could. Basically I started rapping with the bands when I was like 16.
Wow.
With this group called Mingus Among Us.
What was it?
And the same circle.
What was the name of the group?
Mingus Among Us.
Mingus Among Us. What does that mean? Just curiosity.
Well, basically, it was a band that kind of took its musical inspiration from the jazz musician Charles Mingus.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So it was taking his music and modernizing it with a new jazz twist, and then one of the things they did was they put a lot of hip hop into those songs. So they would that's where I would step in.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just knew you were part of that group because me and CB are homeboys, man. I've been trying to get him on here for a while, and
oh yeah,
there's a like I'm be honest, man. Like you, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, I don't think I've known someone in my with comedy or friends that's been in Facebook jail more than I don't know how many times. Like I one of the reasons like I wanted to have you on is, man, like I wanted you to come on here and like what's I want to hear your I haven't really been on Facebook as much, and that's usually where I see that you because you touch on current events in a way that's it seems like it's coming from a well thought out anger. And I just want to know what are your thoughts on like the current situation with like, the one of them, the George Floyd, and then also, everything else that's been happening since then.
Hello?
Yep. Hello?
Hey, sorry about that.
It's all good. Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello? Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you heard the question. I just want to know what are your thoughts on everything that's been going on right now, man? Like, because I know you're one of those that is very vocal on stuff like on a lot of these things that happen, and I know I don't know what the situation, but I see you've been on Facebook jail a couple of times. So like, I just want to know, like, what's your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, it's a start to a change. I mean, sometimes, it's as they say, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. So, it's one of the situations. The change isn't going to be easy. That's the thing we've been fighting for the longest. Is the change will not be easy. It will not be easy to switch your life from living how you remember it being taught to you to a new way where you're forced to figure it out for yourself. You're not able to hide behind boys will be boys and I'm not racist. You won't be able to hide behind that. You have to choose a side. And right now, everybody is just trying to figure out which side do they want to be on. Do you want to be on the side that's going to be remembered as the righteous side? Or do you want to be on the side that's going to be laughed at 200 years from now the same way the Confederacy should be laughed at?
That's, man. Yeah. Do you think because of also right now that, I mean, things like certain distractions aren't around, like sports or whatever.
That's very true. There's nothing for people to be distracted by. There's no sports going on. People have been in their house for months. It's just really, it's a powder keg.
Yeah, because I think if we weren't on lockdown and sports were going on and everything was whatever, I think we would have not been talking about like the George Floyd after 2 weeks or so, man. Yep.
Well, no, because people would have been able to change the channel. That
agreed.
Was the channel changer. Like that's why people got so mad at Colin Kaepernick. It was like, I changed to this channel to not have to hear that shit, and now I'm hearing it here, so I don't like it. Meanwhile, they don't realize that the people that are affected by that have to hear that shit all the time. They have to deal with it everywhere they go. So yeah, definitely. I think the lack of distraction is definitely key to what's happening now. It's good. So we can see, okay, we were distracted.
I gotta ask your thoughts on that because I know you perform with him a lot, and you have performed with Dave Chappelle, man. What did you think about when you saw 846, or have you seen it?
I have not seen 846 yet. I've actually been kind of like quarantining myself from anything, really. I'm probably gonna watch it some point tonight, or some point this week. I just, I'm one of those people I like to watch things after everybody's digested it and already regurgitated their ideals on it, so I can watch it without
The hype,
that pressure of,
yeah,
just kind of like, okay.
No, I get that. I do that with like a lot of like I watched Breaking Bad like 2-3 years after it ended, just so I could really see if it really was good, and it's not just the hype. It was it was a good show. I mean, I recommend it if you're into that kind of thing. But like, one of the things that some I've heard, like for example, the 846 that just came out. Some people say that it wasn't funny, and I think that's exactly. I mean, I don't want to give too much of it away, but I think it's exactly what people wanted to hear or they needed to hear at the right time. It brings to the next question, man. Like, have you been doing stand-up, any kind of stand-up at all?
Oh yeah, I've been heavy on
okay.
the Zoom shows.
What?
I've been heavy on the Zoom shows because it's just, it's practice.
Do you think the Zoom shows are gonna stick around after this shit is all over, man?
They're gonna have to, because not everybody's as eager to get back out the streets as some people. Some people are like, yo, I need to get back in the streets ASAP, and some people are like, the streets gonna be there.
The open mics are gonna be still packed, and So you did mention that you did perform with the CB. Are you still doing music now? I know you were doing music consistently, right?
Yeah, I did. I actually just recorded an album. It's a music comedy album. I have a band that I had backing me, and basically, I just did kind of like a tribute to Tribe Called Quest, as well as just comedy. Telling jokes over music and stuff.
What do you prefer to do more, man? Like I mean, if you could only do one of them, comedy. Oh,
comedy all day. I love making music, but my heart's not in it as much as it is in comedy, because music, I appreciate musicians or rappers especially, because they're able to put their thoughts into rhyme sequences, which is dope, because for me, I just can't put it into the rhyme sequence. I mean, I can. I'm not gonna say that. I can put my thoughts in the rhyme sequence. It's just a lot easier to say it without having to worry about this.
Also, matching those words, but the rhythm.
Yeah,
too,
I guess I see what you mean, because like with comedy, I mean, you riff a lot, and it's like, have you ever done something where you kind of? I've never seen you perform. I've never seen you do the music, so I guess what I'm saying is like, because some guys on stage, like you're not one of these guys, but some guys on stage, like they'll. It seems like an actor doing, and it's not themselves, because they're totally different than what they're doing. You're the same person, I'm from my experience, as you are off stage. And I appreciate that sometimes a little bit more. But is it different with music, where you kind of have to put on this persona?
Some people, I think it's just a matter of people's level of security with themselves. I know a lot of performers who are just really shy, introverted people, but they have to put on this character to go on stage. It's not that the character's not them; it's just a different part of them that they don't show outside of the stage. Then you do have those who, they perpetuate a character where they feel this is what's funny for comedy. This is what this audience likes. So I'm going to perpetuate that. I'm just going to focus on that. I'm just going to do that. Then you have your niche comics who really just find their group of people and they deal with them.
Like the Carlos Mencias.
So it's really it's because there's so many ways to do it. But I think definitely there's a difference between hip hop where, I know rappers who are not anything like they rap about. But then there's also the difference between storyteller rappers who rap about maybe violent, stuff and all these things. But in reality, they're just reporting what they've seen. you know, and then you have those who fake the funk, who talk about they've killed people and all this stuff. They've never even done anything. And then you got those rappers who do and have done that stuff.
It's a wide range.
You know, it's just all about the security
It's a
of who
wide
you are.
range.
Because, like, I remember back in the day when hip hop artists were criminals, but their record label persona was this, you know, clean cut kid that just rapped. You know, was that their persona was that of, you know, just the boy next door that raps.
Fat boys.
You know? But in reality, this dude is actually pulling robberies because his advance check is not that much, or he's actually really selling drugs. But he'll never tell you in his music because he doesn't want to snitch. And B, you know, the company thinks black men.
I've heard of that. Exactly what you're saying. Even though someone out of Oakland, you know, and I'm not gonna say the name, but like it's crazy when I heard a lot of stories, like about exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And okay, I see. Because you know what, we interviewed a lot of musicians, and we just interviewed someone, a hip hop performer recently, and then a rapper, and then we kind of, because it's for me, like, you know, I try to understand musicians and what they do, like how they feel about the performance, because like everything you just said, you know, it with comedy, you know, I mean, I don't. Most of the comics I know, they're the same on stage as they are off stage, and with music, it is in a way, like you said, it's a different side of yourself that you're showing. Like it's something that it's already it is you. Sometimes, I mean, that may be like your realist form on stage when you're performing, as like you said, for hip hop. For you, what's more of like your influence as far as style? Like, are you more East Coast or West Coast? Like what? Yeah.
For hip hop, I would say growing up, I was definitely more into the East Coast style, just because I was more into the flow and the lyricism of how East Coast rappers did it, based on, you know, how they talk and how they communicate out there. And then as I got older, I started to grow more of appreciation for the West Coast style, because I started appreciating being from the West Coast more. And I started seeing that, okay, yeah, we had our own unique thing. And then, you know, once I started really working with a lot more artists, rappers from the Bay Area, you know, and start just, you know, doing that, I started shifting more to just now I listen to whatever's dope. You know, I don't even really put a region on shit anymore. I mean, now you can't even put a region on shit because everybody's the same. But you know,
thanks to the internet.
What comes to mind is like someone who you listen to a lot right now. Like what's one of those newest rappers that you?
You know, this is a sad fact. I really ain't bumping new shit. Like I kind of find something and I'd stick with it for a while, then I go back to the classics. So, like, you know, I'm looking for recommendations. I don't know who's the hot kid in the street. Like, every time I hear about some dude that was really dope, he got killed. Like, you know, my people, I never heard of Pop Smoke, but all my boys is like, yo, Pop Smoke was the shit. I'm like, oh, I never heard of him. I'm sad that he's passed away now, so I can't experience more of him, but I guess I can go back and listen to him, but I haven't still, because, you know, then I feel like bandwagon. Then I feel like, oh, I'm going to listen to him because he's dead.
That's,
you know.
Yeah. I kind of felt that way I mean, I heard about him, but I never really heard his stuff. Patrice O'Neal, when he died, I heard about him after he died, and it was like, oh shit, like then I discovered his stuff when he was dead.
Yeah. Like, obviously, I would use Patrice O'Neal as my hip hop and my comedy influence, because definitely he has a very hip hop.
Yes, delivery. That. In what way? What do you mean by that? Like, can you explain it? Because I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure.
He doesn't give a fuck. He's gonna say what he has to say, and it's not gonna sound how you want it to sound. It's gonna sound how it needs to sound. And, you know, it's like, you know, I compare Patrice O'Neal to I would say Sean P.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Him and Sean P would be Sean P was definitely that hardcore, rugged hip hop, you know, like, I mean, he's using words that are deemed wrong now, you know what I mean? Like, he's just unabashed, you know, just like, he's like, I interviewed Sean Price one summer at Rock the Bells, and I asked him, you know, it was the 10-year anniversary of Rock the Bells. I said, in the last 10 years of hip hop, what's changed the most? And Sean, he's like, yo, everybody want to be buddy. Everybody want to be friends and shit. Ain't no competition. You know what I mean? And you listen to his raps and how he raps. He's like, I don't want to be your friend. I didn't get into rap to make friends. I got my friends. They all rap with me. I'm here to be the best rapper. Like, you know, Talib Kweli tells me about stories about every time he would see Sean P would say to him, yo, Talib,
oh,
I'm
shit.
Dang.
You know what I mean?
It's aggressive.
So, you know, then when I listen to Patrice O'Neal, I hear that same, you know, I don't care what these other comedians are doing. I don't care what this comedian talks about over there. I'm talking about what I'm talking about. And if you don't like it, you don't have to listen. But guess what? I'm going to say my shit. And say it unabashedly. I'm going to say it unapologetically. I'm going to say it real. And at the end of the day, you're probably going to end up laughing at it because you're going to be like, fuck, I guess I never thought about it that way. You know, so it's just like a very similar style when it comes to
I see what you're saying. What I bring up a good point, man. What's something that you consider hip hop that outside, like another example? Do you have another example of something you consider hip hop that people wouldn't think is hip hop?
Nobody's gonna feel me on this. Everybody's gonna probably cancel me, but to an extent, I would say even Donald Trump's whole mentality is hip hop. He just don't give a fuck.
Whose whole mentality?
He don't give a fuck. Donald Trump's whole mentality is like,
okay, I'm with you there.
Fuck you. I don't care if you like me. I don't care. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. Yeah, I should probably not tweet, but fuck it, I'm gonna tweet anyway. It's like the problem is what he's saying is not worth it. It's not necessarily his words, it's his delivery. It's his way that he goes about it unabashedly. And he's just like, yo, I don't care.
The confidence of it, yeah. The audacity.
It's you know, just like punk rock has the hip hop vibe because it has a very, you know, I don't give a fuck. I'm speaking up, I'm speaking out type mentality. You know, it's just so many things you can equate to it. But I mean, yeah, it's not something you want to think about. And trust me, I wouldn't run around I'm not going to run around doing a TED talk about how Donald Trump.
Maybe you should. It might actually be the most viewed thing in TED Talk history.
I could totally do.
You should do a whole special about this, dog.
For real.
Back in the 90s, rappers all had a rap about making money like Trump, trying to be black. There was somebody who had Raekwon had the song Black Trump. Yeah. Yo, who's the Black Trump? Like he was. That's why you see so many rappers with pictures with him because, you know, and that's like, you know, when people want to shit on Kanye for going, I have to remind people that before there was the Trump we are dealing with now, there was a Trump that was a socialite that hid all that could, you know, hide all that stuff behind the veneer of, you know, a rich man. I'm just rich, you know, but now that he's responsible for the whole free world, it's kind of like, you can't like you could be like I wouldn't mind Donald Trump being
like, you know, if says things to the public that sound like things that he would say trying to appease like the board of trustees. Like what was it recently? He was like, look, in order to get our coronavirus testing positive numbers down, we're just going to stop testing. And that sounds like the type of thing that if you're trying to make your company look better, you're just going to hide the blemishes. But it's like, dude, it's not the same. Your business strategies don't work everywhere, son.
You know,
they don't even work in business.
Hey,
how many failed businesses he had,
out in Yelp. That's just gonna come out in Yelp eventually. Like, one thing out.
Matter of fact,
yeah,
that's what we should do. That's how we take the president out. We just Yelp the fuck out the president.
Hey, you know what though? What you said though, if there was a guy, whatever, like a guy for the people with that delivery, I can see that being very effective.
Well, there was a guy for the people. He just didn't have that delivery. Like if Bernie, like honestly, and I say this in justice and in truth, but like, you know, I feel like I wanted Barack to be more like Donald Trump is. Not
with delivery
on the criminalistic rapey thing, but with just the I don't care. This is what my people need. I'm doing it for my people. Like I would have loved some clap back from Barack. You know what I mean? I saw Twitter go into a full on racist site where, you know, every day you're seeing monkey memes and calling him a nigger and his wife a man and disrespecting his children and just all kinds of shit. And you never see Barack clap back. and I just wanted that. That was the only reason I did. That was one of my reason why I didn't. Why I kind of have apprehensions about Barack. Period. I'm like, dude, if I had been the first black president, oh, they would have hated me. I'm like, you hate me, you're really gonna hate me. Guess what? I just declared it illegal to kill black people. Oh,
there you go.
Hey.
It's and he'd say things like, "It's amazing.
You hate me?
It's amazing. It's the most wonderful decision ever." And like,
I'm sending a $2 million check to every Negro in America. How about that?
Hey.
Oh,
but you know what?
Like,
you know what? He had to come in the traditional way because he was the first president of color. You know, and
I'll say this:
I would hate to be the first black.
He had a lot riding on that.
He's in a terrible position.
You know, and I think Donald is
in a terrible position.
I think Donald is the first president we've had in modern times. I say specifically in modern times because Andrew Jackson was crazy publicly, but back then you didn't have television cameras in your face. You know what I mean? Things happened and people maybe told stories, but that was it, right? But Donald Trump, I think, is the first.
Also, people didn't.
Right. Well,
he was just crazy. Nobody.
Well, you know, was it Andrew Jackson said to somebody that he had? They asked him if he had any regrets about leaving the presidency, and he said, "I have two," and I can't remember the names right now, but he was like, "I wish that I had hung this person and shot the other one." One of those people that he listed was his vice president, my dude. Like, but what makes this comment significant is that Andrew Jackson was known for having multiple duels and basically leaving stacks of bodies wherever he went. Like he was kind of crazy in that way.
Oh yeah.
But Donald gets up there to a national audience and just basically has diarrhea of the mouth, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is great." And I think this is a lesson.
White man.
This is a lesson.
White men that do this are crazy. He's just crazy. He's a white man that does this. That's what crazy white men do. It's Ted Turner. It's all these crazy old rich white men. Hugh Hefner. Oh, they're just crazy.
He's eccentric.
Crazy rich. And nobody cares. Like, I truthfully wouldn't want to be the first black president anyway. Let me be about the four.
Yep.
I've heard Dick Gregory say this because I watched a lot of his videos too, and he said, "You guys are lucky because you got yourself a well-behaved N-word of a president, and you would have hated me." It sounds like,
would have hated. No, if Barack had two black parents and was from Detroit, they would have never. That's the thing. People forget that Joe Biden was thrown in Barack's team because they needed those moderate Democrats who say I'm not racist but still call police on black people. So they needed those people to stay on board. Because had they ran Obama with another black candidate, those two would have been dead for the first month of a campaign. It'd be like, no, y'all might drop out the race now. We're not fucking with you. You know what I mean?
Go to the Green Party.
You got a half-white black man. You got a half-white black man with a white mom. Every white person empathizes with a white mom. The liberals, my mom was a white single mom. Wow. Everybody emphasizes, even the moderate and conservative Democrats can empathize with a white mom because white women doing things like that is a strength of power to them. When black women are single moms, it's a sense of lazy. They give the air of like, oh, you're lazy.
You're collecting food stamps.
You're out of control. Yeah, exactly. You're a welfare queen. So it's the double standard, of course. But it's one of those things where it's just like, this is America.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You'd have made it illegal to kill black people.
And it was the best decision ever.
They would hate me. They would hate me. I would make anybody self-proclaimed president.
I love how we give I love how you gave Uncle Joe's credibility the direction of the moderate, because when I think of Uncle Joe, I'm like, no. It's not just the moderate Democrats. He gave those independent on the fringe Democrats in the ass crack of Mississippi who have Klansman robes on in their closet, but it's a secret. The sense of, I guess I'll vote for them. Because Joe voted against segregation in his district back in the day. They haven't forgot.
Well, here's what happened. The same thing that happened when Trump went and all those those Bernie Bros and all those liberals, decided not to go vote and then blame it on black people. When all that happened, the same thing happened when Obama was running. A lot of those rednecks and all those people who have been voting for years decided, I'm not voting because, well, how dare you put a nigger up there? I'm not going to vote. You give me the choice between this dude and this nigger. I will not, because they don't understand. They think they're protesting. I'm not going to vote. So Obama didn't necessarily get elected because it was time for a change. Obama got elected because the perfect storm of racists being so angry that there was actually a black man getting that far into the presidential election that they didn't vote, and a shit ton of people who wouldn't have voted, independent fringe people, and then everybody from moderate over to the right Democrats, the moderate all the way conservative Democrats, they needed Joe too. They needed that okay, he's a familiar face.
Yep. How do you?
Shout out to all of the.
It's. I mean that kind of covers the first election, but then he won again.
Oh no! They were still protesting.
Yeah, shout out to all the uncle granddads that just refused to vote on behalf of their ancestor who fought on the losing side of the Civil War. Like my Confederate great granddaddy / great granduncle died.
Here's what happened in the second election with Obama. It was one of those things where it was like they didn't think he was going to win. They actually thought it was like sort of like the Trump mindset that we're in now, where they think, oh, well, there's no way he's going to win again. Come on, there's no possible way that this nigga's going to win again. No way. And they didn't vote again, and then he won again. Trump is what you know how that saying goes: for every action,
is equal and opposite
reaction. Trump is the equal opposite reaction of Obama.
He is completely undignified. He is foul. He's also implied rapist. He is everything opposite.
He's the white man's revenge. He's like the white man saying, hey, you know what? Oh, that's what you're going to do? Well, we're going to get the most racist, ignorant white man we can find and put him in office. And we're going to do that to show you that it's white country still. And what they didn't realize is that you're idiots. So now they're sitting there.
They're over there like
no coal job.
They're
sitting there with no timber jobs. They sitting there with all these jobs that he said he was gonna save, not knowing he didn't shit.
And then you have Pence was like the least moderate person.
Yeah. And the only reason Trump won also is because below the racism that this country loves to exude, they love a whole bunch of sexism too. Now, you add in Hillary's arrogance of not going places she needed to go and assuming she was going to get stuff, kind of like Bernie, assuming he was going to get stuff that he didn't get because he didn't reach out to those people, black people. They both lost. Plain and simple. We had the DNC fuck Bernie on that first one, but Hillary lost because if all men can unite on sexism, black, white, Asian, whatever. Nope, fuck. An email, that's it. That's all you got on her. You got a couple of emails. Well, fuck that bitch. She's lying. Nah, I wouldn't vote for that bitch. I'd rather not vote and allow this man Trump to win because what's the worst that happen? 4 years.
I also think there were a lot of voters that stayed home because they were like, this idiot versus like Hillary versus one half of the Clintons. Clinton's got this in the bag. I don't even need to vote. And then they woke up the next morning to like a brand new world that they didn't expect.
Arrogance.
Pretty much.
The pride before the fall.
Pretty much.
Pride before the fall. Hillary had it because she didn't go and campaign in places that Trump just said, I'm probably not going to win, but I'm going to go over here and talk to these people anyway. And then you go there and you find out, oh, there are racists here. They've just been hiding because of all the liberals. So I'm going to bring them out. So, it's just, it's one of those things where she thought she had it too. She didn't think she had to fight. She was like the tortoise.
Yeah, you just mentioned something that like I noticed too, man. Like all these like races that people were saying are coming back. Like I think for the most part, I mean, colored folks have seen this shit for a while, and I think it's just now everyone's seeing it. Like everyone, I think that's one of the good things that has came out. I'm not saying good in the way like. I'm happy about it, but a lot of like some of these like blatant races that are coming out are, especially with today's world where it's getting recorded, are opening to people who were in denial that there was still racism in the 2000s. It's showing it.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where people are now realizing that those little things that they thought weren't racist were actually racist, and those little things that they don't like. It's now the saying is now's not the time to be non-racist. You have to be anti-racist, because I can tell you for a fact I've been in places in a room full of non-racists where a racist will do something and the non-racists will watch it happen. Not intervene, not say nothing, wait till it happens, and then all of a sudden come to you, I'm so sorry that had to happen to you. Like, well, if there's 20 non-racists in the room and there's one racist in the room, how about y'all just all collectively whoop his ass?
It's fair.
Seems like that would, you know what I mean? That would prove you're not racist. So now what's happening is all those, I think what's even funnier is not just the racists that knew they were racist. There are people who know they're racist and they know. But then we're talking about the racists that. Sorry, am I too loud?
Oh,
no, I'm sorry. My girlfriend said I'm too loud. I'm in this huge ass house, and she heard me all the way downstairs.
So, what do you think? What do you think realistically will be achieved with all this protesting?
That's hard to say, because this level of protesting usually protesting dies down within the first 2-3 weeks, but this protesting has continued on and on. And I think with all the coming out of, like, it's people admitting their race. Like, it's what is going to happen is, like, I think the change has to come with, like, and I think it's just white people have to change. It's like we have pleaded and we have asked and we have begged and we have chanted, we've sung, we've done all this,
kneeled
at
football
it's
games.
time for them to actually wake up. And I think what's happening is this next generation is actually doing that.
So I would understand if you didn't want to be too honest on this question, but I'd like your opinion. How do you see the Latino community responding to this whole thing?
Well, I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up in the Berkeley, Oakland area. We're born and raised in Berkeley. Lived around Oakland my life, and I've never not known Latino brothers and sisters to be on the front line with us. Every time I've been at a protest for any Black life taken in Oakland or the Bay Area, I see my Salvadorian brothers, I see my Mexican brothers, I see, my Guatemalan brothers, I see all my Latino brothers represented out there doing it. Now, if you're talking about the East Coast, you got a whole different kind of Latino community. You got your Afro-Latino community. And, you see them out there. Like, who I love? I love Cardi B. I love Cardi B. Because, here's the thing. I have her music. I listen to it, but I'm not like a Cardi B music fan. I'm a Cardi B person fan because of the things she says and her honesty and her realness and the fact that I've heard her several occasions admit, I am Black and Latino. You know what I mean? I'm an Afro-Latino. I represent for both those people. So, but here's the thing. I do know about the Latinos that think they're white. Not to say a whole nation, but, I've dealt with a lot of Argentinians who do not consider themselves any type of color. They consider themselves straight up European. There's the colorism that happens, because even in the Black community, you have your Black people that are super light, can pass for white, who will adopt that mindset of I'm better than the darker people.
Well,
so you have them, and but at the end of the day, the majority of the Latino community has stood up, and I see it. We all see it. It baffled me when I moved to LA and they told me there was tension between Black.
Oh yeah,
it's like, where'd that come from?
I could not understand it. I was like, how the fuck does this happen? I was talking to Black people like, how do we let this happen? Like, we need to go over to Boyle Heights. We need to go to East LA. We need to say, hey, brothers and sisters, you know how much more powerful we could be in this city if we were united? Because when I told my Mexican friends in Oakland, they were like, what? And this is exactly what my boy Jose said.
Hey, it's a blood in, blood out versus Boys in the Hood over there, man.
Yeah, and it's like, it doesn't need to be. It needs to be blood in the boy,
Blood in the
boys.
Now, let me ask you this.
Hood, you know, something
Yeah.
unified, because that's what's going to take too.
Yeah.
Amen.
Because if you don't notice, 80% of this world is brown and black.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking Latinos, we're talking Asians, we're talking Africans, we're talking all various kinds of ethnic people, Aboriginals. We're talking all these dark people who populate 80% of Earth. Meanwhile, we are being colonized and dominated by 20%. Not even 20%, actually 10% of the 20%. Because not all, white people were colonized. Not all Europeans went into the colony game. Some just chilled. Like, yo, then we just sip some wine.
And a lot of them are on our side, man. It's crazy because it's especially with everything that's been coming out. Like, I mean, there's it's crazy because like I've noticed it a lot. Like, and you just pointed something out, like the Latinos that even the dark Latinos that that hate other Mexicans for acting hella Mexicans, or hate black people because it's crazy. I think this whole thing with like Trump, like of course we've seen the people coming out of the hills in those other states that like were already racist, and of course we knew we just gotta but then there's also been like these, especially with the Black Lives Matter, like just that statement alone. It tells me like I've seen like Mexicans like complaining about that, like not in a way as like what about us, but more like they're always hurting us in the hood, and it's like they have this hatred over. And when I see that kind of shit, it's just like, man, like that you're only you may think you're helping, but you're just like hurting.
Well, that's because it's like putting two lions in a pit and only one piece of meat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Divide and conquer.
That's exactly what it is. You put them in a situation where there's this perceived competition when it's really not. Because if we're competing with each other, then we're not even watching them just take all our shit. So it's a whole dichotomy. It's white supremacy controls a lot. Like that's what I mean. 80% of the earth controlled by 10%, because it takes white supremacy is in every facet of our lives, even in our own communities, between each community. It's almost like blacks and Latinos are fighting to see who the white man's gonna like more. And it's like, no, that's not what we should be fighting for. We should be fighting with each other to knock that white supremacy down. And the only problem that we can't fight white supremacy is because the word white often throws white people out. Once you say white supremacy, white privilege, anything that they just automatically shut down because they don't want to imagine that's me. It's like, no, you might not be a white supremacist, but you benefit from white supremacy. When you get in your car, you're not worried about getting pulled over unless you're doing something illegal. Other than that, that's your white power privilege and white supremacy. Whereas I have full legit tags, full legit license, full legit insurance. Both blinkers, all my blinkers work. And I'm still worried every time I hit that blinker. Am I hitting this blinker soon enough? Oh, was that 200 yards from the goddamn curb? Oh, damn. Can I make a right on a fucking red light? Just these various little things that go into it.
I got a question for you on that subject then. How could some white people use their white privilege to help the cause? Because I know
varying degrees. There's various degrees. It's like depends on what your level of white access is, I should say. I know Karens that work for good. I have a couple of
yeah, we need some Karens over at the police office going, I want to complain to your police chief about what happened.
And there's a lot in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
There's a lot in the Bay Area.
Yeah. Use your I got pulled over one time. No, my friend got pulled over. We were I forget where we were. My friend Ben, he got pulled over. We were like in the Central Valley somewhere. All right, so we get pulled over, and the cop doesn't even come to his side of the car. He comes straight to my side, and he starts, looking at me, and then he has my boy roll down the window. He doesn't ask for license registration. He says, "Hey, don't I know you?" to me. And I'm like, "No, I don't think you do." And then he's like, "Well, let me see your ID and stuff." And I'm like, "What? I'm not driving." And my friend Ben said, "Excuse me, sir, what did you pull us over for? Because if you didn't pull us over for something, I am free to go," and read his rights right down. And it turned out, dude was just trying to do so. Black dude in the car with white dude, just assumed we were out where we were doing no good. There's no way white guys and black guys hang out unless the black guys taking the white guy to get drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, we were going to get drugs. But we were both. We were both going to get drugs, and it was his guy. It was his connect.
Oh shit! Yeah, no.
Right. You were not the dealer. You were both going to engage in
buying the drugs. He was supporting.
I mean, got to do something with all that privilege, right? No.
Yeah, that's the whole reason he was driving.
Oh,
it was my car.
Man.
Hey, what?
No.
What, hey. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, wheeling it back to the George Floyd protests. I'm going to ask you, because you are obviously a hip hop head. Did you know that? And I think it's a disservice that the media hasn't mentioned this at all, like mainstream media. But were you aware that George Floyd was an MC, a part of the legendary Houston Screwed Up Clique led by DJ Screw?
I was because I have friends in the hip hop industry, and I was sitting there looking at the George Floyd thing on TV at this at my delivery service, my cannabis delivery service, litdeliveryservice.com. It's LIT delivery service, but in new lit, all capital letters. I was sitting there watching TV, and a very good friend of mine, Tim House, was like, "That dude looks familiar. He looks like he." And then within an hour, we're like, "Yeah, that's dude from DJ Screwed Up Click." And I'm like, "Oh snap!" And I'm sure it's one of those cops at one point in time listened to hip hop in their life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably.
Probably, yeah. Probably. And I gotta say, like, I was immediately, I want to say offended, but I put up an eyebrow and I was like, you know what? That's kind of like, had that been somebody current, somebody hot right now, it'd be all over. It'd been like Wale, it'd been like Jay-Z. You know what I mean? If a cop killed Jay-Z, they wouldn't be like, Sean Carter, a man named Sean Carter from New York was murdered. They'd be like, Jay-Z was murdered. And I just, I was like, that's kind of a disservice if we're just going to focus on the memory of George Floyd as just simply a victim. You know what I mean? Like, let's put some personality and some legacy with that victimhood. Yeah. Let's mention.
Well, if you do that, then you can't paint him as the bad guy to clear the cops.
True.
If you do that, the media is just as guilty as the police, because the media, kind of in a way is the police's Twitter.
Yeah.
The police put out their tweets through the media, like 600 cops are resigning or quitting because of the protest. Oh, word, newspaper. And you don't go into the fact that that's some baby shit. Like, they're quitting, but we at this newspaper think that they're a bunch of bitches.
Well, see, that's the difference between an editorial and then like just reporting what happens, right? Like, the news goes, all right, This happened, and then we have to make it up for ourselves. The editors go, but we think it smelled like bitch in here. You know what I mean?
But the problem is there's so many publications out there that anybody can put out anything. And like, I tend to read the sites from what I like. Before I read a story, I go into the site that I'm getting it from, and I read other stories. And I read how the story is written. I read the language they use. Like if they use stuff like cops were attacked, cops under attack, cops not being appreciated. If it victimizes the cops in any way from the protests, then I automatically know, okay, you're going to pass this off as truth. You might be reporting what happened, but you're embellishing on everything you're inflaming it by using certain words like protest looters. Instead of saying protesters, you say rioters. instead of saying protest, you say riots. You only talk about the destruction of property and how cops are trying to say, the cops are under attack for doing their job. Word.
That's true.
No, the cops are not under attack. The cops are under attack for not doing their job. That's what they're under attack for.
That's true. Depending on the publication you're reading, there is indeed a slant. It's not the way.
Even the ones that are supposed to be, slanted the other way, they all slant a certain way.
All the liberal ones were doing that.
Yeah, because the police unions and all of them have always said, hey, yeah, you can write about us, you can say all that dirty shit, but what happens when somebody goes to your house and breaks in and rapes your wife, Julie, 37, drives a blue Honda, license plate 56-329, blonde hair this week, just got a cut, is going to have dinner with Cheryl. What would happen if that happened to her? Now these cops know, cops play dirty. That's why good cops don't say nothing.
Oh, yeah, like that guy that got killed in Fresno. Remember that guy who?
That's true. There is a series of Supreme Court, higher court cases, essentially geared to officially say it is not our job as police officers to protect you.
Yeah.
Like I read one about a lady who was being beat by her husband, and she had called 911, and 911 didn't send anybody out. And so she sued the police, and then the courts determined, well, it's not their job to come see about you. Well, why are we paying you for? What are we paying? Why are my taxes going to? I thought you were supposed to serve and protect.
Yeah. Well, let's do one better. Okay, so what we'll do is then we'll take $2 million out of the police budget and we'll put it into people who actually just do that. Domestic violence counselors, where they will come directly to the house with somebody who is skilled in de-escalation, and also somebody who may be able to take the person to jail if there's a crime committed. If it's you know what I mean? Like your car breaks down. Nobody should be calling the police. Hey, this guy fell asleep in the drive-thru. Let us call a tow company. Or, you know what I mean? Matter of fact, why don't we just be citizens and go out and see if he's okay? Hey,
Even better.
Okay? Or, if he's not bothering nobody, let the motherfucker sleep.
Because there are so many times where it's just a simple "how are you doing?" check, and because of racism, because of certain cops are idiots, it ends up going the wrong way. You know what I mean? Like I remember asking, I'd gotten a few years ago run over by a car, broke my leg. Someone was kind enough to call 911 for me, and the police arrived first, and they're asking me questions about who hit me, et cetera, et cetera. And I asked them, I said, "Thank you for asking questions, officer, but where's the ambulance?" You know what I mean? Like and then they were like, "Well, the thing is that when people call us, we come first to secure the area." I guess they figure just in case there's some crazy stuff going on. But honestly, I was more nervous the police were talking to me than I didn't have anything on me. I don't do anything illegal. It was just one of those where it's like, what are you here to finish the job? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. There's been times where an undocumented citizen will get hit by a car.
Yeah.
The cops will show up, ask all these questions, and then use that information to get that person deported.
Yeah, I've seen it when they take their. I've seen videos where they're taking their.
So shady, so shady.
My uncle, he got in this guy came and started they got in a street fight, right? Some guy came in. Anyways, they called the cops, and the other guy ran away. And so when the cops came, they took him because he was undocumented. So we have to get him out.
Yeah. People messages about how to stay out of Facebook jail.
How many times have you been in Facebook jail?
Let me look. Actually, I can see exactly how many times I've been in Facebook jail. Because now whenever I go to my profile, there's an account warning. Only I can see this. Literally, Chris Riggins account warning. This is because you previously didn't follow our community standards. What happens if you violate again? You couldn't post or comment for 30 days. My history. 30 days, May 18th.
The most dangerous man in Facebook, man.
7 days, October 21st. 3 days, August 6th.
Oh shit.
Shit. 24 hours on May 18th last year. Like, it's more of them. These are just the ones they show.
Are you able to predict when you're going to go into Facebook Jim?
Oh, hell yeah.
I think that's part of your, because when you perform, like, I'm taking it back to stand-up, you know how to provoke people, like, perfectly. Like, you know how to dig in, and when you're doing crowd work, man, like, I see that. And would you say you've mastered the art of offense?
I would like to say that. I like that idea. It's an art. It's a way you offend people, but don't make them hate you.
Right.
Yeah,
because you're making them laugh.
They're not mad at you for offending them. They're mad that they actually really got offended by that. They're like, fuck. Can't believe I'm getting offended by that. Yeah, I can't either. That's why I said it, stupid.
What like, I was wanted to ask you, how did you get into with performing with Dave?
Just by a challenge, a dare.
No way.
A friend of mine was I'm actually in Tahoe with him right now.
Oh, okay.
A friend of mine who is very well known in the music industry and throughout the entertainment industry. He basically challenged me to open up in front of Dave at a show that Dave was doing in Oakland.
The New Parish. I read the article.
Parish.
Yeah, I read the article.
And he basically, he said, I bet you can't get in front of Dave. And so I did. And it just, went from there.
Was that your first time doing stand-up?
That was my first stand-up.
Holy shit. You hadn't done any kind of open mics, nothing?
Nope.
And then your first time you perform before Dave Chappelle. Like, that's...
Yep.
Jesus, that's something you don't really hear about. Did that kind of give you like a big boost into like, I got to do this shit? Like, because I can imagine that could have went horribly.
Yeah, it. Basically was what I needed. It was like, okay, of course it's a big boost, and if you do well, then you're definitely more inclined to do it again.
And that's. So that was the start of it. So ever since you've been have you ever gone on tours with him?
No, I haven't gone on the road with him. Actually, I was just discussing that with a friend of mine. No, I haven't had a chance to go on the road with him.
That has got to be like the craziest. Like, hey, you're gonna open for the Beatles.
Yeah, I know, right?
yeah, that's, you don't hear about that. Like, man, and you also mentioned. About Talib, you performed with him too, right?
Yes, yeah. I went on tour with him this past summer.
How did that come about?
That he announced he was going on tour, and I hit him up. I said, "Qual, let me come on tour." He was like, "Okay."
No, but how did did you know him for a long time already?
Yeah, I've known Quali before I did comedy. Like, he'll tell you, like, one minute I was like, I used to pick him up from the airport out here and take him to shows and all his shit out here. And then one day I picked him up in the car and said, "Hey, bro, you should come to my comedy show." And he started laughing, like, "You can do comedy?" And then he talked to Dave, and Dave said, "Yeah, Chris did comedy for me a couple of times." And he was like, "Are you serious?" So then one week, because like him and Mos Def would come out to the Bay Area and spend like a week or so. So one week they came out and they were doing their standard shows and stuff. And then Dave decides to do a show, and so I get up, I open for Dave, and then Talib's like, "Yo, you're fucking funny." And that was that.
Oh shit!
Of course, Mos actually did a comedy set that night, which was a lot of fun.
I don't know.
Or Yasin.
Oh damn! I don't know he. So like what? So do you kind of just go out with all of those guys and like perform whenever you're not in the Bay Area? Is that why you kind of disappear sometimes?
No, I mean sometimes, like the tour I did with Quali, we did all of August, and we ended up going to Dave Chappelle's birthday party in Ohio. So I try. I'm really kind of focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah, right.
Doing. Like I know they're always there.
Yeah.
so I can always, go to them for anything. But I basically focus on what I'm doing.
That's
trying to get my
stuff
together.
No,
Man, I love your Sean Price story. That sounds.
Yeah.
I've never met the man, but from what I've heard of his music, and from what I've heard of him, that sounds just like where he's like, "Yo, like everybody wants to be buddy buddy," and it kind of reminds me of. Are you familiar?
Sean was a different breed. That was
you
that was a good
familiar? You're familiar with Kendrick Lamar, right? I mean, obviously, you can't be in the industry not be.
Yeah.
So you remember a few years ago when Control came out, and that whole it shouldn't have even been controversial, but it was kind of controversial at the time, right? You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy because at that point nobody was competing. Everybody was doing tracks together and getting along, and that's not entirely new for MCs to collaborate and enjoy working with each other, but it seemed like there was no issues at all. And then Kendrick comes out and says, "Look, I'm going to compete with all of you guys. I like a lot of you guys, but I'm also here to beat you. Don't forget that." And
no, yeah, it's not even beat. It's a push harder.
Positive pressure.
I want to be. I wanted to be one of I remember in the 90s when I was in high school, it was moments where on Tuesdays new albums would drop, and it would be like 5 of the dopest albums you ever heard dropping at once, and it wasn't that they were all trying to beat each other, but they were all competing to be the best of, you know what I mean, to push each other to do better. So yeah, any feel in comedy, I like to be around the funny comedians. I like to be around the people that are going to be that are gonna go up there, smash it, and make me go up there and work. Okay,
yep.
Okay, that's how we feel at night. Okay, all right, I'll see you when I get back. And you go up there and you do your thing. You don't try to match their thing. You try to do your thing.
Right. And it is a good positive pressure to add to the art, because it kind of it's like the hammering a sword. You all that pressure just creates great great albums, great one of the best nights I had. Great art. One of the best nights I had, man. This was when I was still pretty new in the comedy. Samuel Bates showed up to the show, and you know how he does. He shows up and he just does a set and leaves and does another whatever. He showed up, and this is when he had, I think he was either had just gone on Conan or whatever, and he goes up right before me. I was like, shit, I got to go after that, and it just kind of pushed me. I was kind of comfortable, but it just pushed me to I gotta go harder than I was planning on going, and it made me think this is how I should be. This is how excited I should be every time I perform.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I forgot what I was about to say.
It's all
I feel like when you're newer in the game, it just depends on your mindset. If you have a competitive mindset where you want to be the best, and not necessarily that means you're better than anybody. It just means you're beating the best of you can be. I want to be tonight. I want to be better than I was last night. Tomorrow, now I want to be better than I was tonight. And just so forth and so on. And then some people, it's okay to feel a little nerves and a little intimidation towards somebody that's really good going up. But it's also good to have some nerves, but you should also try to kind of have it in a sense of yeah, they're really good, but you know what? I'm really good.
Yep. Which is that in itself is a thing to fucking master. Just that. Because when a lot of people don't try because they see that other people are so good, and and that's not just with comedy, that's with fucking everything, just and like you said, some people can cultivate their own their own fan base. I mean, even that in itself has some merit to it. I gotta ask you, man, where's your favorite place to perform?
SF Punchline.
SF Punchline. And I'm because you've performed all over the States now, right? I mean comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy.
Yeah.
What happened? I know you mentioned you were in LA for a while, man. Were you scouting to live out there?
Yeah, I was living out there for a minute. I was living out there for 2 years. So it was like, I lived out there for 2 years. It's just a hustle. It's a different kind of hustle. So I basically had to focus more on, like, I came home and more things started happening. Better things started happening. So that was the good thing. It's like I was able to come home and continue to make things happen.
Man, I got to tell you, I know you did a plug earlier for your business. I don't know. You said it real fast, but was that something that you're doing right now? Like, you want to talk about that?
I mean, it's just I'm a partner in a small cannabis delivery service, black owned.
Oh, okay.
In Oakland, California, called Lit Delivery Service. We're just trying to bring good cannabis to the people.
All right. Well, man, again, dude, I want to tell you, man, I admire you. You're one of my favorite people to see perform. Hopefully, in the near future, I can see you perform either on I've seen you on the Zoom show, but there's something about that live magic that you just can't capture on Zoom. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So where can people find you? Where can they listen to your
IG? You can go to my IG, Chris Riggins Comedy. Find me on Facebook, Chris Riggins. You can find me. I do a show every Tuesday with my homegirl Tammy T Love called A Couple of Studs at 7:00 on Tuesday. So tune into that. We just did one tonight from up here. So yeah.
Right on, man. Hey, again, I appreciate you taking the time to come on and I wanted to see where your thoughts were in, because you've been in Facebook joke for a lot and it's entertaining.
I know, yeah, I've been right down.
So again, man, thanks a lot, bro. We appreciate you being on the Voice Party.
Thank you for coming.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man.
All right, man.
All right, y'all.
All right, man.
Peace.
Peace. We're out.